insight on things. So with that said, um, where do we stand with the Ukrainian crisis right now? Because I want you to touch on that a little bit and give us your perspective on the reason for it and where we're headed.
Right. I mean, right now, the Ukraine war is just essentially a proxy war. The West, the so-called collective West, which is really U.S. and NATO, is waging on Russia. They're just fighting Russians to the last Ukrainians. In fact, the U.S. official openly gloat about it. They say, "Oh, we don't have to put our boots in the ground. All we have to do is just keep on providing, the hundreds of billions of dollars." But it's hurting. It's hurting Europe. It's hurting U.S. I mean, we have all seen the skyrocketing prices. I'm sure everyone is aware of the inflation, because Russia is one of the major provider of energy and food to the rest of the world. And this war it's the war, and the sanction is really a drag on the world economy. And I think I think the war. I think, I speak for most people, most peace-loving people in the world, that everybody wants to see the world bring to an end. However, the U.S. and NATO are not interested in that. I mean, there are countless countries, China, Brazil, South Africa, they all offered to broker a peace deal, but broker a ceasefire. But U.S. has flatly refused. They say, no, like, we cannot have a peace until Russia is defeated. That's just ridiculous, because Russia is not going to be defeated. I mean, Russia is still one of the great powers in the world. They have abundant resources. Their people are very patriotic. I was just in Moscow in June, and like, it's nothing like I wasn't. I didn't have any preconceived notions, but I was still surprised by what I witnessed, because Moscow is one of the most beautiful city I think I ever visited. And the streets are clean, people are nice, and nobody bothered me on the streets. And I would, if it's not for the winter, I would pick to live in Moscow in a heartbeat. And the shops are open, side street cafes are full. I have a whole travel log posted on my YouTube channel. People can see it for themselves. People in Russia, they're just trying to go on with their everyday lives. But right now, it's the West that's bringing war to their footsteps, and that has been the case since I think since end of the Cold War, essentially. Because back then, in 1989, 1990, Gorbachev approached U.S. and NATO and said, "Look, we are going to pull the Soviet Red Army out of East Germany, and it will allow the German unification to happen. All we ask in return is that you do not push NATO any further east." And U.S. at the time made a verbal promise, like, "Sure, yeah, we will do that." And Gorbachev was naive to take that face value. But ever since, they've been pushing NATO closer and closer to the Russian border, and to include Ukraine now is like almost a de facto member of NATO. It's receiving all the NATO equipment, of financial aid, and NATO training. And this is a situation that Russia will absolutely not accept. I mean, many, even top policymakers, George Kennan, who is the architect of the whole containment of Soviet Union during the Cold War, he was against the NATO expansion. He said, "You are making a serious mistake. You are going to embitter the Russian people. What you're going to end up is Russia is going to lash out." And that happened like last year, finally. So it's not like nobody has foreseen this. Many policymakers warned over and over again. But the hubris and American exceptionalism made people believe they can just keep pushing, keep crossing Russia's red line. They're doing that with China right now in Taiwan. And all it does is just to keep on feeding to the military industrial complex back home. The great contract for all the arms manufacturers, they're now like working overtime to fill the orders to send artillery shells to Ukraine. And that's another thing. U.S. spends more money on its military than the next 10 nations combined. Yet what did that exactly give us? You didn't even give us like what we think you would give us with all this spending on the military. There's actually a rant video by one of the Russian grunts that was viral on the internet. I saw recently, and he was saying, yeah, like for 20 years, Hollywood has misled us about the powerful wonder technological toys of U.S. and NATO, and there's how awesome their Leopard tank is, their Abrams tank is, and guess what? We have seen on the battlefield, at least Russians produce weapons actually works, and like your Leopard, your Abrams outside your Hollywood movies, they're not always crack up to be, and but that's a reality. And U.S. is spending gazillions of dollars because people don't realize the U.S. military spending is not necessarily to just make better weapons. U.S. military spending, the main purpose is to feed the military industrial complex, to grease the palms, and to fund the comfortable retirement of these think tankers and these top military officials. They're nice, comfortable retirement in Bahamas.